Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing you guys exactly how I make my ambient type beats. For this tutorial today I'll be using my beats called Serenity, which is available on all platforms including Spotify and YouTube. So without further ado, let's just go straight on with the tutorial. So when making an ambient type beat, the root instrument is probably most of the time the pad. The pad is what glues everything together. So I'll be showing you guys the pad that I made for this beat right here. Very nice mellow pad. See, most of the times when you want to make a pad for an ambient type beat, you want to make it in the minor scale, you could say, a minor pad. So most beats that you listen to, they use what's called the minor ninth chord right here, which sounds like this. Very nice warm pad, a very nice warm chord, and a very nice trick if you don't know what you want to do after. Then you can simply just take this and then move down 5. That's a very, I think most of the tracks that you guys have heard probably has something similar to this. Now, if you look especially to the chord progression I've created, it does kind of mimic the D to the A, which is the 5 down that we also did here. I just decided to add like extra notes to make the chord progression even more special. Furthermore, with this pad right here, I've added this top melody. This is what kind of sets this beat apart in comparison to other beats where they just only have this right here. See, it's important to remain creative in your work, but also to remain unique. So that's basically how you make it. And once you have the actual pad chord progression, then you have the central theme for the rest of the beat, and you can base your beat from this chord progression right here. Now when you think about the mixing, I have it right here. It's a super simple mix. Only thing I really do is I cut out the lows right here because you want to give room for the bass to hit. You see, if I didn't cut the lows, it would sound like this, which is still very nice, but you have the 808 that comes in anyways, so it's fine to cut the lows right there. I boosted some of these mid frequencies here because without it, it sounds kind of thin, but boosting it up here makes it way better. And then lastly, these high frequencies here, they sound kind of harsh to the ear. So when mixing, it's all about like listening to what's best for the beat. But most of the time, if you're working with melodies, you want to cut the lows because you want to make room for the bass. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes I even do what's called stereo separation. That's this little knob right here. See, if you make it stereo separated, it sounds way fuller. And then if you do mono, it's way more like compact. So you want to do mono for 808s, which I'll be talking about later. In this beat right here, however, I just thought less is more. Anyways, now let's go on to the next part, which is the melody. See, this is the bell melody that I've made. Let me just play it for you guys really quickly. Very, very nice warm melody. And I don't know if you guys have already seen it, but I am basing this melody off of the chord progression that we made. You can see that the bottom notes here, the D, goes straight out to the A, especially the same as with the chord. So when you're making an ambient beat, you don't want to overthink it. I know this melody seems complex, but in truth, what I've done is I've taken like 3 notes up here. So it goes like, and I've just put another one to the side like that and then lowered the velocity. So it kind of creates like a delay-ish effect. That's why this looks so complex, but it's not. Anyways, these notes right here, it goes D to the A to the C. If you look at the actual thing here, you have the C, you got the A, I'm just following this chord right here. And then down here on the next part, I'm just following the next chord. So you're just staying on the chord, which makes it, when you play them alone together, way more vibey. Because they are playing the same notes but different. The bell the melody itself is what creates like the movement in the beat, if that makes sense. So when you think about the mixing for this, I think you can almost guess what I'm about to say. What you want to do, like normally, is you want to, oh my bad, sorry. You want to cut the lows, and I cut the harsh highs, and then I boosted the mids a bit. Creates a way more fuller effect. I also added some delay because ambient beats love having delay, because without the delay, it sounds a bit more boring. And reverb is also, I use this ambience reverb. If you guys have any questions wherever with the plugins I use, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I promise to help you all out. So the reverb here really sends you to space once you add it. And that's pretty much it. It's also important to consider volume control right here. You don't want to have your volume up here, because then it gets too loud in comparison to the beat. But you can have this once you've done the rest of the beat, then you can actually listen. Now furthermore into the beat right here, I actually have this next melody right here, which is a piano-ish melody. Let's just go to it right here. So this piano melody is playing this. It's playing stabs of the chord progression. So you can see here it's just the exact same chord, but it's playing stabs. This is for the second half of the beat, so it creates a bit more variety. Furthermore, I've just decided to add this singular note here, sound lead, to fill in this like gap right here. So like I said before, it's all just centered around the pad at the end of the day, because everything, all these notes here focus on the pad. Now when you play all of this together with this pad right here, they play together super nicely, and they create like this bounce effect, you could say. So again, when it comes to the actual mixing here, all I really did with the piano right here is that I put some delay on it, as you already know. I put some EQ where I just removed the low ends, and then I boosted the highs right here. And that's pretty much it. And then here I did a bit of stereo separation because I wanted it to have like a fuller, wider sound. The lead right here is basically the same. I didn't need, here there's no real, you also need to think like smart. There's no real need to like remove the lows if there isn't really any lows in itself, you know what I mean? So there you don't really have to do it. And then yeah, just lower the volume because it's a very loud sound, so you want to kind of lower it so it mixes well with the rest. Now let's get on to the next part of this tutorial, the actual drums. So right here we have the 808 drum or the 808 pattern. Well, I will just play it for you guys really quickly. So that's the one right there. And I think you guys have already guessed it, but once again, we are starting here with the root note of the D, and then we're going down to the A right here. So the 5 down that I talked to you guys about. And then these extra notes here are just kind of following the chord progression. See, when I make my bass, right, I almost like hum out how I feel like the bass should be. The same goes with my melodies, but right here, for instance, you see that the chord repeats itself. So it goes D here, D, and then it goes further down to the A. So here I repeat this, and then just add like a extra note. And then here I go a bit more crazy. And then it's just all about being unique with your stuff. Like towards here, I add the slide note here. I love adding slide notes towards the end. If you can see here, this slides to the D, 1 octave up, because then that's a very nice progression from going down here to the D. So you can hear. Without that, let me just mute this real quick. Without that slide note, it sounds like this, which is still fine, but that extra slide notes just, yeah, creates it, gets back to the D note right here. So anyways, that's basically how I make the 808. When you consider the mixing of the 808, how it should sound like, I've done mono separation, very, very important. I've added a fruity soft clipper. The soft clipper just gives it like a louder sound, I guess. And then the EQ right here. This is, you don't really need to EQ an 808. This is just more like by ear. I just lowered some of the super, like the low mids here. I boosted some of the bass frequencies right here. And then here I wanted it to almost sound like less of a bass, but more like a melodic bass, which is why I raised these right here. And then this fruity limiter I'll be talking about a bit later. So let's go on to the hi-hat. So the hi-hat pattern is playing a super simple two-step pattern where I choose to like remove notes. It's very all about just going by ear. Like, to be honest, this could have just been a fill each 2 steps. It could have just been this. And that would probably have worked with the beat. But I feel like by making it a bit more like unique in itself, by removing a note here, it gives it bounce, and adding 3, it just makes, yeah, it gives it some bounce. So you could also be even more creative and like play around with these velocities right here. So for instance, if you wanted to like fade in, you could say, then you could do something like this. That's a trick you could do. Or like with these lower frequencies or lower notes right here, you can maybe boost them so they come a bit more loud. But it's not really anything you need to overthink. Now the mix right here, hi-hats are usually very like loud and sound, so I just always lower them a bit. I put a little bit of reverb because I wanted this track to really send you to space. And the EQ right here, I just lowered the bass right here. I mean, you could just lower it completely. I was just a bit lazy here. And then I boosted the highs a little bit, but not too much. And that's pretty much it. And then the next part of the drum is probably just a clap. And it's just about playing that groove. See this right here is kind of like the fundamental in the drums. It's like what keeps everything going. It's just hitting on every third. So 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, and then I added this extra clap just to create bounce. So again, this is by ear, but yeah, like I said before, like with the hi-hats, you could have just only done it like this, 1 2 3, and 1 2 3 1 2 3, without having that. But it's just about creating what you want to do. Now on to stuff like perks and extra sounds. You don't want to overthink it, because the 808, the hi-hat, and the clap itself are the main components for the drums. If you want to add perks, you want to make them, like, you want to understand why you're adding the perks. So for instance right here, I just added this one perk with a lot of reverb on it, if you can hear it. Actually the perk itself has a lot of reverb on it. So I just added it just to create like that extra bounce. The same with this right here. I just love this perk a lot because it almost gives like a jungle-ish vibe to it. So like when you listen to, let me just solo out the drums for you guys really quickly. When you listen to all that we have, oh, and then also we have this open hat right here. You see, like, very low volume, because this is like a extra thing to add. This is just what creates like bounce. You could do without it, but it just makes it a bit more unique. But when you now listen to like all the drums together, if I were to just remove like the open hat and the perks, it would sound like this. Which is still fine, but just with the perks and the open hat, it just creates a bit more. Now on to the kick. The kick here is what makes that, you know, wow factor when you listen to like a beat. It just hits hard. You want to have a nice kick right here. So what I usually do, here's a very nice trick, is that when you have an 808 pattern like this one, you can copy the 808 pattern, go to your the kick, paste it in, and then press Alt K when you press Alt K, then it will transpose it. Then you just want to pick one note, so the C, for instance. So you can pick that one, and then it automatically puts it down, if that makes sense, to where you want it to be. So that way it follows. Another thing you want to consider when you have an 808 and a kick playing like from one another is stuff like the polarity of each of them. What I mean with polarity, I don't know if the best way I can illustrate this is actually with paint. So you see how the kick here is going like this. If you look at the 808 pattern here, it is somewhat going like this. If these two, like if you for instance layer two kicks over each other, so you have one kick here, and then you do this feature right here, which is called reverse polarity. That means that it reverses the sine wave like this. That means that these two cancel each other out. So here is a little editor's note to what I was talking about. So here I have two kicks right here, and you can see that when I play them both, where none of them have this reverse polarity, they play super loud, of course. But if you reverse the polarity of one of them, and they are identical, and then play them, there's just no sound because they cancel each other out. So you saw right here how we have like the 808 and the kick kind of playing like across one another. If you reverse the polarity of the kick, but you don't reverse the polarity of the actual 808, then it hits a bit more like kind of soloed out, I guess, if that makes sense. Wherever if you don't reverse it, they kind of play under like the same, which is a very small thing like to to consider, but it is important to like make them hit harder together, you know. So yeah, sorry for just opening up paint for that, but that's something you should consider. Now, I talked to you guys earlier about why I had a fruity limiter on my actual 808 right here. This is because I wanted to do something called sidechaining. So once again, let's try and solo out the 808 and the kick, and then let's remove this limiter. So what sidechaining basically means is that whenever the kick is playing, the 808 is going to play like respectfully. So like let's say the threshold is down here, then you can't really like hear it that much, you could say, with the 808. But it's more like every time the kick hits, the 808 hits with it. So it just sidechains them together. So the way you do it is that you want to go to your kick channel, and then you want to just press right here. So it's linked to your 808 channel. Put a fruity limiter on it. Go to comp right here, and then turn this up so it's on 1. And then this knee right here, you want to lower it completely, and then threshold you have right here. And that's pretty much it. And when you actually look at the beat now, then we've gone through every single component. So that's basically how you make like an ambient type beat. But now you're probably wondering what's the next step. Well, this is arguably just as important, and that's the composition. So let's go straight on to the composition part, which is the final part of this tutorial. So as you can see right here, this is how I started the composition from the intro. You have this nice slowed effect that goes up. So the way I did this was I right click, because the tempo here is 142. So I right click it and I press create automation clip. And then right here, I just drag it down, so the longer you play, the faster it's going to be. Without this, it's just going to play 142. So it's just about creating that like slow to fast effect. I feel like these types of things are very nice when you want to make like an ambient trap to make a slow to fast transition. Furthermore, I put a reverb on the master channel right here, which is like the master volume. So like if it's down, it's down. And then I right clicked here and said create automation clip. This is what makes this feel like a different dimension. If we removed it right here, it still feels kind of nice. Oh wait, hold on. I mean, sorry, like this. You can't really hear it like another dimension, but with this, you get sent to another. And then lastly, what I wanted to do was mess with the pitch. So the pitch, basically here, you have the master pitch of the track where you can change that up. So I right click that and press automation. See, let's say we didn't have this master pitch automation. It would sound like this. Just the exact same as here. But with this, we're kind of slowly going towards here. So if I were to illustrate what that means, it means that because we lowered the pitch, we probably lowered it to down here. So then throughout the track, it's like moving up until it finally gets up to the D note right here. That's basically what it's doing. And so that's how I wanted to do the intro. If you want to do like a slow build up, you don't want to have an 808 or a kick, because that kind of doesn't work well with like reverb and for the drop. I kind of just want to go straight into it. Now, another thing that's important to consider when you're making your composition is effects. These effects right here, they just create more. Like, let's say I were to remove this whoosh. It still sounds fine, but with the whoosh, just, you know, get into that dimension right there, you could say. And then you have like the laser effect here. I love to do it every single time. So basically, I learned this trick from a singer artist called Charlie Puth, where the first, like, 9 bars here, you could say, this right here, which is the entire pad progression, you kind of, from every time, you kind of want to do something different, if that makes sense. So like, if you have it here, then the next part here, you want to add something else. And here you want to add something else or remove something, because removing something is just as good as adding. So for instance here, the only thing I really added was that perk, because it wasn't here. And then this right here, I love this effect. It's called the pew perk. Right there, I just added for every like 1, 2, 3, 4, just to create even more movement. And then so you also, when you want to make the composition, you kind of want to like in your head think, if a rapper were to hop onto this, how would they sound like? How would it work? So for instance here, if you're thinking of a rapper, then this could be a verse area, because you're kind of slowing down the beat, removing stuff, and you could go like, I'm earning my money, I'm earning my dough, huh, yeah, I'm earning some mo, huh, yeah, I'm earning my dough, yeah, I'm earning them all, like something like that. Whereas here, you could have like the actual part of the song, the chorus, because this is like where everything is playing. So the piano lead thingy I showed you guys earlier, you could have just implemented it instantly from right here, which is nice, but I wanted to kind of make like a fake-ish drop. So what I did was I did a volume automation. So you can just barely hear that lead and that piano. And then what I do here is I remove everything except the 808 to drop, because like I told you guys earlier with the slide note right here, this is really nice for creating like a drop factor, because then it goes back in. And then you have the drop right here. Very good. And then again, I'm just following the same thing I said. From here, you want to have something different here. So the only thing I do here is I just add the bells, so everything's playing together. And then here, what I do is I remove. This is also a trick a lot of producers do, is that they remove all the drums for a bit, and then they add it again. But what I've done here is I've removed the kick, because this is not like a drop place, so you're just vibing to the 808. And then lastly right here, what I like to do is just have like a place where the beat is just getting completely deconstructed. It's just 2 elements where you're just really vibing out to it. You think the beat is about to end, you think it's about to be over. I remove the pad here, and then you got everything. It goes in, and it's just perfect. And then again, it's just the same rule. The next part here, I just add the. And then yeah, for the outro, you can just be lazy, to be honest, and then just go to the master volume, which was right here, and just turn it down until the beat is over. And then that's basically how you can make an ambient type beat. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that it has helped at least one of you guys. If you have any questions, then please leave them down in the description below. Remember to leave a like and subscribe for more future content.